So, Vladimir Putin just wrapped up his visit to India, and let me tell you, this was way more than just a simple diplomatic trip. We're talking about a high-stakes meeting with massive ripple effects across the globe. So, what really came out of it, beyond all the handshakes and photo ops? Let's break it down. You hear these words from Prime Minister Modi calling the friendship a guiding star. Now, that's not just poetic language. It's a very deliberate message of stability, of constancy, and it's a big but. In the world we live in today, that guiding star is facing some serious turbulence. And that really is the crucial question, isn't it? In a world where alliances are constantly shifting, where exactly is this star leading them? Is the path forward really as clear as it used to be? Okay, first up, let's talk about the actual deals that got signed. This summit wasn't just for show. They hammered out some major agreements that are designed to reshape their economic and strategic future together. And here is the headline number, $100 billion. That is the new ambitious trade target they've set for 2030. To put that in perspective, that is a massive jump from where they are now. It's a huge signal that both sides want to go all in on deepening their economic ties. So how are they going to get there? Well, through these key agreements. We're talking about a whole new economic roadmap, a really critical long-term deal for fertilizer supplies, and even pacts covering skilled workers and healthcare. You can see they're deliberately trying to broaden the relationship beyond just the old pillars of defense and energy. Let's just focus on that fertilizer deal for a second, because this is about so much more than just trade. This is about food security for 1.4 billion people. By locking in a long-term supply from Russia, India is basically building a firewall for its massive agricultural sector against the shocks of the global market. And this chart just shows you how dramatic that shift has been. Look at this. Back in 2017, Russia made up just under 8% of India's fertilizer imports. Fast forward to today, and that number has skyrocketed to 27%. In just a handful of years, Russia has become an absolutely critical partner in keeping India fed. We're also seeing a huge evolution in their defense partnership. It's not just a simple buyer-seller deal anymore. The new focus is all on transferring technology and co-producing equipment, which slots in perfectly with India's Make in India initiative to build up its own domestic defense industry. So, with all these big deals, it sounds like a perfect summit, right? A total success? Well, not exactly. If you scratch beneath the surface of these ambitious agreements, you find some pretty serious complications. Because there really is another side to this story. Despite all the public celebrations of friendship, some pretty significant cracks are starting to appear in the very foundation of this historic partnership. I mean, defense has always been the bedrock of this relationship. For decades, Russia has been India's top military supplier. But the war in Ukraine is putting that entire pillar under an immense amount of strain. And just look at this. Key deliveries are facing serious delays. The remaining S-400 air defense systems pushed back to 2026. That crucial Akula-class nuclear submarine now delayed until 2028. These aren't just minor hiccups. These delays create real capability gaps for India's military. And then there's the economy. Despite that huge trade target, the relationship has become incredibly lopsided. It's basically a one-way street right now, and that's causing a major headache for policymakers in New Delhi. This chart makes the problem crystal clear. India imported nearly $64 billion worth of stuff, mostly oil, from Russia. But its exports to Russia? Less than $5 billion. That massive trade deficit is just not sustainable in the long run. And this imbalance has created a very strange problem called the rupee trap. So here's how it works. Because of sanctions, India pays for Russian goods in its own currency, the rupee. Russia now has billions of these rupees just piling up in Indian banks, but they can't easily convert them or take them home. It's a huge roadblock for future deals. But maybe the biggest long-term worry for India is Russia's shifting place in the world. Moscow is becoming more and more dependent on Beijing for both its economy and its technology. The fear in New Delhi is that Russia could end up as a junior partner to China, which would completely compromise its ability to act as a neutral power in Asia. So, what does this all add up to for India? Well, it means the country is walking a very delicate, very high-stakes tightrope, trying to balance its relationship with a historical partner against a whole new set of geopolitical realities. And this brings us to the most crucial point. For India, this relationship isn't about choosing sides. It's not Team West versus Team Russia. It's about a pragmatic chase for its own national interest. And the one thing India values above all else is its strategic autonomy, the freedom to make its own choices on the world stage without being beholden to anyone.
So, to sum it all up, the partnership is still necessary. Russia is absolutely vital for India's defense, energy, and food security, but it's also a major test of India's ability to navigate this new multipolar world. And for this relationship to have a future, it has to evolve and adapt to these really challenging new realities.
And that leaves us with the big question mark hanging over everything. As the bond between Moscow and Beijing gets stronger every day, can this time-tested friendship between India and Russia really withstand the powerful pull of these new global alliances? That's a question only time will answer.